Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, welcome and good evening. We are on to episode 30, Noise Sensitivities, Thunderstorms, Fireworks, and Beyond. So today we're talking about noise sensitivity. And real quick, before we get started, I almost skipped it. It is quick news snippets.
Ooh.
So today our news snippets are 3 announcements. 1, we are up to 820 downloads.
Awesome.
Number 2, we are launching our Paw Print Academy app in 1 week.
Yeah.
Give or take a day. The app will be coming out, and we are going to release the where you can get it right now. So by the time this comes out, this will come out on Monday of this coming week. What day is that? I did not even look. What is that? The 27th. So on the 27th is when everybody can listen to this podcast. And so you can download this app that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks at thepawprintacademy.com. Simple. Sweet. You do not need the www.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually makes it like you used to always have to put it in,
now
and
you
now it messes everything
Useless.
up. Yeah, so now it's like https://.
Oh, does it mess it up if you put the www?
Yeah, it does.
I just never do it, so I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But it's the same thing as our website, right? topdogtrainingnc.com.
Yep.
The app can be accessed. It doesn't even need to be downloaded. It's a web app, so it works on your phone. It works on your PC. It works on Apple. It works on Android. It works on Mac. It works on everything because it just works in your browser.
Yeah.
So nothing to download. It will have you create a username. All of that is totally free. And about 90% of the stuff inside the app is totally free. Super highly recommend that you take advantage of it because it's just free tools. If you want to go further and you want to, get some course access, or you want to take advantage of some of the more advanced AI features and things, then yeah, there's an upgrade there that supports us and bringing you fresh content and more information on dog training. But none of that is necessary. You can get well over the 80%, the 80-20 rule, well over 80% of the benefit for free.
Yeah.
So thepawprintacademy.com. That's where you can get it.
Awesome.
And the third and final piece of news is that I officially received my CPDT KA certificate.
Woo!
Woohoo!
I know the clapping one. It's yellow.
Right. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. So kind. So the CCPDT is a kind of an accrediting agency for certified professional dog trainers.
Yep.
And it's kind of the gold standard as far as just plain certification. There's no real study guide or like course work for that. It's a just kind of a governing body that uses science-backed dog training techniques, facilitates a professional kind of dog training certification, and you can read more about that if you're interested in it. Just search CCPDT. All right, so now on to the episode 30, noise sensitivity. When we talk about noise sensitivity, everyone's got a good story.
Yeah, everyone.
Because dogs can do some crazy stuff for some noises.
Yeah.
And because of noises. Before we started this podcast, we were talking about a couple of different situations that have come up, right? Dogs jumping out of windows through screens and things like that.
Yeah.
Those issues, they come up because noise sensitivity is usually a fear response.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not disobedience.
Yeah.
It's
they
not
just
your
cannot
dog
think.
just going, not interested in listening to you.
Yeah.
But when we talk about threshold in a lot of other situations, it's worth mentioning that when a dog is over threshold, they're not going to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if that threshold is precipitated by another dog or just, stress from the environment or sound.
Yeah. Super common a lot of times, especially nowadays. There's a lot of dogs that you see that are super sensitive to a lot of different noises. And you kind of don't know until you see it. And then you're like, what is going on? And it kind of surprises you a little bit sometimes. But we handle fear in a little bit of a different way a lot of the time than we do reactivity, any of the other side of like aggression or resource guarding, because like you said, it's not disobedience, it's fear. And so with that, you have to work through, structured exposure. You have to control the environment for sure. You can't just go out and sit wherever or walk wherever. You have to kind of guide that situation. And then you also have to be calm yourself, which is one of the biggest things that we can kind of see in a dog that's fearful. It can stress out the human on the other end of the leash. Yeah. And if they begin to stress, then the dog is also feeling that and can be just as stressed as you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it kind of feeds off of each other.
And so this leads into our first science lesson today.
Ooh. Love that. It's so catchy.
So there are two primal or innate fears that dogs are born with.
Yep.
Right? One, fear of loud noises. Number two, fear of falling.
Yep.
When a dog has an innate, primal fear that is built into them, what do you think the odds are that your words speaking to a dog in a language that they don't know and don't understand and don't care about is going to break through that?
Yeah.
Nope, not going to happen.
Not.
So the fear of loud noises is oftentimes called an acoustic startle reflex. And anytime we're dealing with a reflex, right, similar to when you go to the doctor and they hit your knee, your little kneecap reflex, right? And your leg, jets out there. And you're like, oh, that was weird because I didn't tell it to do that. It just did it.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a reflex.
Yep.
This isn't something the dog has control over. This isn't something that the dog's deciding, I'm scared of this. And so we need to be understanding in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, this isn't just startled noises.
Yeah.
It can also just be loud noises that even if the dog predicts them and sees them coming or knows that they're coming, they still might not like them.
Yeah.
And so there's two ways to go here. We're going to talk about some of these, but I really want to drive home the point of there's a good chance that you won't get your dog over some of this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a huge deal, but so, and I don't want, I never take the route that, oh, we're just going to sign off on we cannot make any changes. That's not what I'm saying. But it's possible that you're not successful in this.
Right. I think it's just that the process itself, like we say reactivity and getting through that is a long process. Fear is even longer of a process because it's just irrational sometimes to a degree, or becomes irrational to the point where it's like, it doesn't even make sense that you're scared of that to us as humans.
Right. So it's going to very much depend on how old the dog is, how many of these crazy, bad, or frightful experiences the dog has had, how deeply seated this fear is of the sound. It's not that it's impossible to condition a dog away from loud noises, right? We do it with hunting dogs. We do it with gun dogs, right? There's whole training programs related to dogs used for duck hunting and deer hunting and other things, right? And they're supposed to, and in the military, they do a whole bunch of different things with loud noises and, gunshots and flash grenades and all of these different things that are very disorienting, and they're made to be disorienting. But we want to train a dog through that. Okay, no problem. But all of those sounds, most of the time you can put your dog in a position where you can predict it and then you can train through it.
Yeah.
Because you are in control of it. The thing that you're not in control of is thunder.
Yeah.
The things you're not in control of are fireworks. And so getting some of those things we can work through. But some of those things you just don't really get the opportunity to work through as much.
Yeah, it can be really difficult.
Because, so we have a dog who hates thunderstorms.
Right, I could spend my whole hour talking about Gabe.
Right.
This could be a whole Gabe hour.
Gabe does not like thunderstorms.
Does
right?
not even rain.
Not even rain. And because he knows that the rain is when the thunder shows up, right? There's and so just to get to the point here, right? We've made tremendous progress from when he was rescued, right? How old was he when you first got him?
He was 3 when I got him.
Okay. So he had 3 years of clearly he came from a very hard life, a very hard background, right? Story. So clearly no one cared about him. No one was putting in any work or effort into him. And he was in a position where he became very, very scared of loud noises. He doesn't like dogs barking, right? The kennel situation, the dogs, just a dog barking in general is very, very scary for him. All loud noises. Thunder is on another level.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've made a lot of progress on a lot of noises. Thunder's real hard. We're on a holdout, right?
Right.
So, but that comes from the fact that I cannot make the same sound.
Right.
as
You
thunder.
can play it on like a speaker all day, but
Right.
it doesn't give the
Not
same
quite the same.
vibration. Like they can feel the vibration of the ground and like they can smell the change in all of the things, the pressure. It's so crazy.
So those are some of the things that even though we've been working through these issues with him for the last year and a half, he has crossed the bridge on some things, and some things we're still in the process.
Yeah.
And if we're in the process as professional dog trainers, right? I just want to highlight the fact that you may have an extended process here as well.
You can't really you can't recreate weather.
And weather is very difficult. Okay. So that being said, just as the kind of the disclaimer to don't lose hope, but at the same time, I also really want to like draw attention to the fact that who cares? He just doesn't like thunder.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There's humans who don't like thunder. There's plenty of people that are scared of thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can talk to you and tell you you don't have anything to worry about, but that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
So getting through to a dog is a whole nother level. All right. What I'm trying to get to is, does it matter? What are you trying to prevent? Are you trying to prevent him from being scared? Because I don't know that that you have to be successful at that. Do I want him trembling uncontrollably and like, not being able to function? No, that's not a good way to live. So for sure, I want to decondition that. But do I need him to be completely neutral and never just be like, hey, can I go in my kennel? I would rather be in my kennel.
Right,
than
because
be out
that's
here.
our solution.
Because that's our management strategy for this, right? That's fine by me.
Yeah.
I don't need him to do anything in a thunderstorm.
Right. Yeah.
So
Doesn't
it's
matter.
a different situation with that than it is with, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another loud noise situation, a blender, right?
Yeah.
In the house. That's one that seems to get a lot of dogs.
Yep. He used to hate those.
Right.
It's gotten a lot better.
But those are things that we can condition or desensitize a dog to through counter conditioning. Thunder's real difficult. So just trying to make that very clear up front is to decide on what you're really trying to do and decide on what you are okay with and what you're not okay with.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't work towards it, but don't get discouraged and frustrated during the process because a dog takes a little longer because they're scared of something that maybe it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now, panic during fireworks, right? Fireworks, thunderstorms, those are real good, variables to discuss on this because they're hard to predict. Even fireworks, because you can set your own fireworks off. But the problem is you can't always predict when someone else is going to set one off. And we live with a lot of woods around us and we hear gunshots and things from hunters.
Yep.
Right? I can't predict when that is going to happen. So some management strategies can work really well. Some management strategies don't work very well because you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But no matter what, keep in mind that when a dog starts to panic during those loud noises, like we talked about, how they're reflex based, the dog is in a heightened state of fear. You're not going to get through, but your dog is not in a process of like, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
They're just stressed out of their mind.
Yep.
So just like talking to someone in the middle of an anxiety attack and you telling them, hey, relax. Hey, it's okay. It's all right. That doesn't really work on humans when they're in a full-blown anxiety panic.
Yeah.
Well, it also doesn't work for dogs. Common signs that you can pick up on when a dog starts to go into that state are things like pacing, panting, trembling, hiding, vocalizing in a way that's not normal, right? It's not normal chatter.
Right.
If your dog kind of like randomly whines and chatters, and potentially attempts to escape.
Gabe shows all of those signs.
All of them. He checks
Every
all the
single
boxes.
one, because he will whine,
Right.
and he's not even a whiner.
No,
Because
he doesn't make a sound
He doesn't.
in all other situations.
Except he bays at trash can noises
right.
that he hears.
That's true.
That's
The
his
bay.
one. Yeah, he bays when he hears trash cans. But yeah, Gabe checks off every single one of those boxes, and just know, like, just so people are aware too, just because you can't hear it or don't know it's coming, like a
Right.
thunderstorm, does
Yeah.
not mean that your dog does not. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, Gabe tells us when it's about to thunderstorm.
Right.
Because he'll be on his place and all of a sudden he's sitting up and he's like shaking and he's panting and he's like looking for a kennel door that's
Right.
open.
Yeah.
And he's like, get me out of here. And we're like, oh, it's about to rain.
Right. And this is this is an improvement, right?
Yeah.
This is an improvement from where we started, where now he will look for the kennel because he's like,
Yeah.
that's my safe place.
Yeah,
That's where I
remember he
want
used
to
to go under beds.
Right.
He used to like
right.
cram
And you
his
could
way
not
under.
drag him out of there.
Yeah,
He was like,
he'd be
nope,
under there for
he'll pancake
hours.
out. He would just
Yep. Yep.
cannot come
Could
out.
not do it.
Uh,
But your dog will give you signs, right? And in those instances, you choose the route that's best for you and your dog based on the situation that you have. And I think another thing I thought of with this situation is a great example of one this past week we saw was we were out at a public lesson and we pulled chairs out to sit down and the dog panicked. Backed up, was so scared of the noise of the metal chair on it was like a concrete floor or something. So it made like a really loud dragging noise. And the dog backed up, but we just kind of like waited that one out. And before a couple of minutes was over, she was willing to go over to the chair again. Mm-hmm. It happened later in that lesson on the other side of the room and she made no move. She was like,
didn't even
okay,
bother with it.
whatever. Because that was far enough away for her to be like, oh, that's okay. I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
So that's the threshold that you can see in a dog that they're showing you whether it's stressing them or not.
Yeah. And so the last point on this first kind of phase of this conversation is that if you treat fear like disobedience, you're going to damage the trust that you have with your dog.
Yeah.
And you're going to make the response way worse over time. So give your dog a little bit of space, right? Through all of those things. I'm not going to circle back. It's kind of self-explanatory here. One of the questions I had written down for that section was, why do some dogs develop noise sensitivity later in life instead of as puppies? Well, that's the learned portion.
Yeah.
Right? When a dog comes out of the factory with these noise sensitivities, that's normal. Mm-hmm. When a dog develops them later, that's not necessarily normal, but it probably came from something that was learned.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, in this day and age, we live in very quiet houses where I feel like as a kid, the TV used to be running in the background all the time, but a lot of homes kind of keep it pretty quiet nowadays. And so I'll tell people, it's like, play like some white noise on your Alexa sometimes, you know?
Right. Well, and we used to live a lot closer.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep.
Just, I guess, it depends on how you grew up.
Yeah.
Plenty of people grew up in the country where there was no one.
Yeah.
However, the places where I grew up, we were a lot more close-knit. Close-knit. Mm-hmm. And now we've kind of, everyone has kind of spread out and then, no, I want my own space.
Yep.
So neighborhoods have gotten bigger, wider streets, wider sidewalks, all of those things, mm-hmm. rather than compressing things into those ticky-tacky houses.
Yeah. Ticky-tacky.
Okay. So we've got to control the environment in order to create management that builds stability during these events. So we've got to control the environment that we can control.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of this we can't. Before you try to train through it, I want you to try to take note of what you can control. Close the windows, try to reduce external noise, and then create a predictable indoor setup. Something that the dog knows, this is safe, this is normal. This is going to help you to start creating some structure to support the dog during these times. Next, a structured safe space like a crate or a place bed gives the dog a defined area to settle down instead of pacing around the house and worrying of when this sound is going to come through this wall.
Yeah.
The less freedom that we give a dog in during that fear state, the better.
Yep.
Because every bit of freedom that we give the dog is another unpredictable variable in the dog's mind, where they are making these decisions while they are pegged out way above threshold.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. And it's not going to work out well for you or the dog. All right. Now, this is what Bree was talking about. Your behavior matters in this case, right? You telling the dog, oh, it's okay. It's all right. You're okay. That's not going to help.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
And it not only does it not help, it tends to recondition some other subsets of the behavior. Now, what you're not going to do is make them more scared of the issue, right? The science has shown us that we cannot reward or reinforce the fear through external stimulus, which means, so let's say, so that I can break it down so it makes sense. If a dog is scared of sirens and I play the sound of a siren and they go into that fear state and then I feed them, I'm not going to condition or continue to reinforce the actual fear.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But I can accidentally reinforce the things that the dog does about the fear. And so, because those things that the dog does about the fear sometimes are conscious, that they do as appeasement or their ability or in their way, they're reaching out for help.
Yep.
So, for instance, when a dog gets scared and then they come up to you and they cower and they try to like shove themselves against you.
Yeah.
By me wrapping myself around the dog, I'm not reinforcing the fear, but I am reinforcing that that's a successful behavior that works. So now the next time that they go into that fear state, they're like, I know what to do. I get close to my mom and press myself up against them.
Yeah. People have definitely seen me at group class, like push Gabe away as he like forces himself into me if something happens. I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
And it's not that we don't want to support our dogs through that fear, but I don't want to reinforce the behavior that he's exhibiting during that fear.
Yeah.
Because that creates this self-fulfilling loop where this is what I do when I'm scared.
Yeah.
And now when he does it, he's like, I'm scared because this is what I do when I'm scared. So now even if you start to decondition the sensitivity to the actual sound or the issue, you will still find that your dog gets into that same loop just as easily because they can do the same behaviors that predict that fear loop.
Yeah. Yep.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Let me look at this.
Right. And I think people will look at me with Gabe, right? And they're like, I don't know how you don't feel bad for him. I'm like, right. I feel like I used to, but at some point I realized that one, he can do hard things as long as he has salmon. Okay. You whip out some salmon, he'll do almost anything after a little bit.
A high enough food, right?
Yeah.
High enough value reward.
Yeah, helps
Dogs
a lot.
will jump through fiery hoops,
Right.
for sure.
There's some things he still won't do for salmon, but there's a lot of things I've seen him do.
Yeah.
And two, I don't feel sorry for him anymore because I know that he has a way better life, right? And so I'm like, look, we're just going to do hard things together now. It's like, I don't really want to do them either, but we're going to.
Right.
Like, we'll get through it.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to recognize that just like a parent encouraging your kid to do something that they don't want to do because you know that it's good for them, this is kind of falls into the same like scope.
Right. Tell me you dropped your kid off at kindergarten, they cried, and you took them home. Because no, you didn't. They still had to go to school.
Right. Because if you did,
right.
I bet you had that issue until second or third grade.
Exactly. I'm like,
right.
Don't tell me that you do that, because most people don't, because they know the consequences on the other side of that.
Yeah. And but it makes sense for kids, but then dogs, but they're fluffy and they're cute.
I know, and they're so cute.
They're so
Those
cute.
Sparkly eyes. Gabe looks at me with his little seal eyes and he's like, no, don't make me do it.
So where we go with this is that we have to recognize that getting the dog out of that feedback loop is good for the dog.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to terrorize the dog in the process.
Yeah.
And so there's some of this that I cannot tell you where the line is.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be different for every dog.
Yeah.
Right? We have a saying that you've got to be an athlete about it, because this is somewhat, you have to just have a certain skill set. You have to be observant. You have to look for the changes in your dog's body language.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason to make it worse on your dog.
Yeah.
In order to, well, the sink or swim. It doesn't work very well for the dog. You push the dog into the pool, into the deep end, and be like,
right.
Swim.
Yeah.
Right. That's
for some dogs it works, but for
right.
fearful dogs it usually doesn't.
It usually doesn't.
And that's the thing. Like when I take Gabe to group class, I always bring a second dog because, if something happens and he just shuts down, it's like, cool, I'll just put you back in your kennel. But I will a lot of the times also bring him back out.
Yes.
And so I pick my battles. Last week, I knew there was a storm coming and I was like, I don't think it's going to rain, but I'm not even going to take him out because he's going to smell it.
Yeah.
And we're just going to get nowhere.
It's like, no, I want to go back in my kennel.
Yeah. I do not want to be out here. So.
All right. So now let's talk about desensitization. Training should happen outside of the real events first. Mm-hmm. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going to ask the dog to do during your desensitization practice,
mm-hmm.
you need to train before you start, which might blow your mind.
Yeah.
But let's say that my strategy is going to be go in the crate, or my strategy is going to be go to your place. You got to train those things not in the middle of the dog being above threshold. You have to train those things when they're just regular.
Yeah.
Everything's calm. Everything's relaxed. There's no distractions. Mm-hmm. That's what we start with. Then we slowly increase distance, duration, and distraction in order to build the dog's ability to work through those things. Then we can slowly increase the original stimulus that was scary.
Yeah.
But one, at a distance that ideally keeps him below threshold. Yep. And two, at a volume that also keeps him below threshold.
Yeah.
Okay. And the difference between that, let me just say this in case it wasn't clear. If I'm playing a sound that a dog is scared of on a speaker, not only do I want to start it low in volume, I also want to start with the speaker across the room.
Yeah.
Because even if it's low, that sound can be triangulated.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's right next to the dog, you're going to have issues.
Yep.
Right? When you first start, if you first start like that, you're like, oh, but it's real low. Yeah, I can barely hear it. Yeah, but you set it right next to the dog. The dog's like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
So we start it across the room, distance, and with a low intensity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to do that. Next, we can pair that coping strategy, whatever that strategy is that we taught the dog. Mm-hmm. Just go to your place, relax, go to your crate, whatever it is. And now we can slowly pair it with the exposure to that sound.
Yeah.
So now we start mixing the two. we can work through some very simple obedience work during those low level, distance sensitive noise levels. This helps the dog stay mentally engaged to you instead of reactive.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I love place, right? And usually if we go sit on the front porch with Gabe, I will take his place. And he's one of the only dogs I kind of do that with because he also hates cars. And more specifically, like cars coming towards him. And we are at the end of a cul-de-sac. Right. And so any cars coming down the street are coming towards us.
Always.
So he will go out there, and I'm always comfortable enough that like we're far enough away from the road that he should be able to handle it. But I give him place because place does not mean sit or down or any of those things. So if he gets uncomfortable, I give him the ability to like get up if he was laying down, and he can spin around and he can be as cautious and weary as he wants to be within the four sides of that bed.
Yeah.
And so it helps a lot because you don't have to, if you don't have a place and you don't require your dog to be in a sit or a down, which are both very hard positions for dogs that are anxious or nervous or fearful, then you're just going to have a dog that's pacing and pulling themselves, zigzagging back and forth on the leash, because what else are they going to do? Because they're going to feel so uncomfortable just standing there.
Right. Exactly. And then lastly, so, and Bree already alluded to it, right? We want to progress this slowly. So rushing to increase the intensity of the sound or rushing to increase the proximity of the sound are both going to create setbacks. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to reinforce our fear. It's not going to help us in reducing it.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially if you get way over threshold way too fast.
So let's talk real quick about what does like structured daily training look like for a dog with where I'm not even going to touch thunderstorms, right?
Yeah.
I talked about it at the very beginning. They're going to be one of the hardest things for you to deal with because you can't replicate it very easily.
Yeah.
There are some management strategies. There's lots of different things, right? But it all revolves around managing the dog's safety factor, right? Thunder shirts, crates, blankets, soothing chews. Mm-hmm. Other than medication, what are some other options? Right?
Those are the really big ones.
Most of the vets go right to trazodone.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan. I just, because, and like, I think I did give that to Gabe one time and it didn't even like touch him, I don't think. I can't remember. A lot. Yeah. And so, I mean, I also tried like the dog CBD, also didn't touch it. So I quit doing both of those very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But I think those are some of the big ones. Like the Calming Thunder shirt, I think is a really big popular one. Mm-hmm. Didn't work for him. He's had no coping strategies that worked outside of I'm going to go to my kennel.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
crate was for sure one of the best things for him.
And I also like, I don't even like to touch fireworks, right? Because like, where does your dog need to be in proximity to a firework for it to like actually even be safe, to where your dog's not like trying to get the firework or trying to get away?
Checkers would for sure try to attack a firework.
Right. She for sure would. And then
run over there and grab it.
It's like they have like thermal sensors in their nose. And so they don't like fire anyways. And so they don't want to be around it. Anyways, that's another one I just don't really touch. It's like, cool, put your dog in the kennel. Because what are they doing? Lighting the firework with you. But so where were we at? That's why I tracked on that one.
So let's talk through about sirens.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Sirens, trucks, UPS trucks, right?
Yeah.
Doors sliding, like back doors for big trucks.
Diesel engines.
Yeah, those are all good ones.
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's do sirens. So what is daily structure to work through, like building resilience to sirens look like?
Yeah. So that's definitely one that we start with on a speaker, right? You've got tons of YouTube videos that you can play with sirens playing on it. What we'll typically do is start, again, far away and at a very, very low volume, like the lowest you can get it. I don't really care if I can hear it or not at first. I just turn it up to the lowest and kind of play it. And I always start with it during a meal time. So like breakfast, dinner, whenever you've decided to start it. That way it's background noise the entire time a dog is enjoying their meal and they're not really paying attention to it. You're also doing a form of counter conditioning where the dog is getting something pleasurable while something not pleasurable or negative is going on in the background. But again, your dog shouldn't be like, their interest should not be piqued at that first step or the first few steps even, because you should have it at such a volume that they really aren't paying any attention whatsoever. So that's the first step. And then we just slowly work our way up. You can bump it up a couple at a time. If your dog starts to react, we usually go back down a level because, again, we're wanting to do like some counter conditioning here. We're not just going straight to exposure. Exposure is where there may be a reaction. Counter conditioning is going to be the instance of where the dog is exposed to it to a degree, but not triggering to them whatsoever. So always starting with a speaker across the room during meal times is going to be the best one. You can move that into training times to where the things are playing during training time. We do some crazy noises when the dogs are just laying around on place. I know we put a video up on socials of, what was it, like chinchillas or something? It was some sort of like weird animal making random noises. But we put that one on there. Guinea pigs, that's right. It was guinea pigs. They make crazy noises. I think there were birds playing the other day, and I was like, I don't know why I hear birds. And then I realized, like, without even asking, that it was being played on the Alexa speaker. So little things like that are going to help the dog in deconditioning them to even reacting to those noises in the first place. So turn some sirens on, super, super low volume. From there, you can kind of work your way outside. You can even play them on a speaker outside, right? You don't have to jump straight to real sirens.
Yeah.
And depending on where you live, you may hear less sirens than not. We're in a neighborhood, so if we hear a siren, it's usually out on the main road. So even if we go out on the front porch and hear one, that distance is going to be far enough that it's not going to necessarily make a dog react by that point.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. I was going to demo something real quick. So in the Paw Print Academy app, there is a sound desensitization tool. So it is impossible, and I'll probably expand this as time goes on, but it's impossible to put every single type of sound that your dog could be scared of.
Yeah.
A couple of the ones that we try to nail down, right? We've got a doorbell in there, thunder, fireworks, dogs barking, sirens, knocking, baby crying, and birds.
Yeah.
It's impossible to nail everything down, but at the same time, that's silly. I'm not going to do that. Everybody knows what thunder sounds like, right? Thunder, fireworks.
Right. That's good, though, to list some of the ones that are on there because that's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, those are like the big ticket ones for sure. Like that, the baby crying one. If you are having a baby and your dog has never had a baby in the house before and you don't like desensitize them to that noise to some degree,
right,
it is most of the time going to freak them out.
So what? So the way that we built that sound desensitization thing, I guess I will expand a little bit on this, is so you can pick a trigger sound. Then you can pick a play interval. And this is what I think is really important, right? Because it's like, it's not about the sounds, right? But it's about the sounds happening at a predictable interval that you can either time and work through and desensitize your dog with food and other things. But also it can play like away from you. Even if you just have your phone, you don't have a Bluetooth speaker, you don't have this, you don't have that.
Yeah.
You can play this right from your phone, but you can set the phone over away from you.
Yeah.
So that it's not coming from you, right?
Yep.
And so as we have, let's make sure this is a real low here before I
I don't have any babies screaming in our ears.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can.
Oh, I can kind of hear it over here.
Right, because it's...
You can put it up to your mic, probably.
I could, but I was going to just play it straight on here.
Oh, perfect.
Let's try it again.
That was a good one.
Right.
Yeah, that is a good one.
So, baby crying. Right. Let's go. Fireworks.
Oh.
Thunder. This one's a little...
Oh, yeah, those are really good ones.
Sirens. All right, you can still hear the thunder in the background.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right. Knocking. Right, now the police are for sure here. Right.
That's cool.
Dogs barking. Birds.
Right, that's a big one for people too.
But the concept is that we can set a play interval, right? So it can play once every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It could play once every minute, once every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, you can set the volume to a percentage right here, right? So that you can play it at the same button volume, right? Turn your phone all the way up and then set the actual percentage that you can see, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool. We're starting at 5%.
Yep.
Cool. We're going to 10%, then 15%. But now you can actually like start your sessions, you can log your sessions, and you can make predictable progress rather than just I play random sounds from Alexa and we try our best.
Yeah.
Right. That's always going to be the goal for all of these things that we build out for clients, is to make predictable scientific progress. Not, well, I think it's better. I think we're getting better. All right. I'll get off my soapbox. So let's jump into, let's open it up for questions. So if we've got any questions here tonight, now is your chance to ask. I'll unmute. No questions. Going once. Going twice. May you forever hold your peace. All right. Listener project number 1, safe space setup. Create a designated area for your dog before the next noise event. That can just be the crate. Or if you don't use a crate, create some sort of comfortable space for the dog to go to. Then we're going to work in that environment and teach the dog to go to it before the actual scary event happens, right? We want to add familiar items to that area. We want to keep the environment consistent. We want to practice sending your dog there calmly and not during crazy situations, during normal ones.
Yeah.
That's how we set this up. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, controlled sound exposure. Then we find a low volume recording of whatever the issue is. We start to play the sound at a level your dog notices but does not react to. Engage your dog with simple obedience, calm behavior, and send them to that safe place that you built during those exposure events, even when your dog's under threshold.
Yeah.
Because we're patterning a coping mechanism for the dog. Gradually increase the volume over multiple sessions. Always avoid rushing and pushing your dog into panic. At the end of the day, the goal is to get your dog over those things, not push them into them.
Yeah.
So that's how we set this up. Then when the actual event comes up, maybe it's thunder, maybe it's sirens, whatever it is, fireworks. When those things come up, that's when we actually put it all into practice. And we've already been proactive at training our dog before we got there.
Yep.
Now we enact all of those training protocols and we put them in action, and we give the dog a management strategy to work through the stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I will close it out with this. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. I hope to see you in the app. Once again, it's at thepawprintacademy.com. You can log on, create a username, look around, engage in the community, throw a post up there, introduce yourself. We'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah,
or
we accept dog pictures.
And we have a whole section full of cute dog pictures.
Yeah.
I would love to see your dog. All right. Let us know how we're doing. I've got a thick skin, always looking to improve. Let me know at team@thepawprintacademy.com. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.